You are not even noble.
I care not. I live, I love, I slay, and I am content.
The 1982 action classic that put Governor Schwarzenegger on the Hollywood map gets updated for the new millennium. Hello there, everybody. I'm movie critic Nick Iacobucci, as always, for RealScreenReviews.com.
And I'm returning critic Greg Hill. And our next review is Conan the Barbarian, which opened Friday, August 19th, and it stars Jason Momoa, Steven Lang, and Rose McGowan. This film comes to us from director Marcus Nispel, who brought us other films such as the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the remake of Friday the 13th. Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about this complex plot that
This is a very, very difficult movie to read into because it's so strong in plot line and plot design. There's a young kid and his family is massacred and murdered, and he grows up to want to seek vengeance on the person that did it. Does that about sum it up?
Yeah,
I think
really
it does.
I think
now, Greg, if I may, I'm going to start by saying I think there's one thing, just one thing that I liked about this movie. I thought that Rose McGowan as the evil sister was... I didn't even know it was Rose McGowan, so I can pay a huge compliment to that actress and say something completely different, something new for her as an actress. I didn't even know it was her, and then all the compliments for me stop right about there. Greg?
Yeah, that's about it for me too. I mean, I mentioned the director, Marcus Nispel, who brought us,
this is just
two
a
remakes of
bloodfest.
slasher movies. It is. It's a bloodfest. And
bloodfest.
I have one message for him. Sir, stay in slasher movies because that's really the only place this kind of violence is really necessary or relevant.
Yeah, I know that kind of holds true to like the comic books, but it was just so over the top and so overwhelming with violence. That's like the only thing that you could say. The plot is so weak and so basic, and the first one I'm going to start with is this villain played by Steven Lang, who couldn't be worse in this performance. The whole movie, they're looking for this mask. They're looking for pieces of this mask, and they can put this mask back together, and it'll be all powerful, and he rallies the troops the whole time, and at the end he starts putting it on. I was waiting for him to turn green and turn into Jim Carrey, because that's kind of what it looked like, was the mask from the movie The Mask. But then, the funny thing is, 5 minutes after he puts on the all-powerful mask and is ready to conquer the world, he gets defeated, which makes me wonder, who wrote this movie? I mean, this is just a pathetic piece of nonsense. I mean, Greg?
And just one more thing to go along with that, it's like, why is the ruthless dictator in all these movies always this middle-aged man who's always defeated? Why don't any of these people try to conquest and take over the world when they're younger?
That's a really good point. That's a very good point. And something else, too, is, in 1982, when the original came out with Arnold Schwarzenegger, that kind of was his breakthrough role. And, until this day, people still talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno, because I think that they were the two people that brought bodybuilding into the entertainment world, maybe mainstream. But after 30 years of the WWE and Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior and everyone else in between, Jason Momoa just isn't... It wasn't really like he wasn't shockingly big. He wasn't, did you feel that way?
I did feel that way. I mean, when you're holding him up to the benchmark of Arnold Schwarzenegger
in his heyday,
in his heyday, he is going to be lacking a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they did the best that they could, with his look, and that's about really the only thing that he had going for him.
He said this was his dream role, and I hope he's better on his HBO show, because this is just crap, I think. And I'll tell you something else about the movie that really, really irritated me as I watched this movie. Like, I just got done reviewing Fright Night and The Help, which I gave those, I think, 4 stars, and The Warrior I gave 4 stars, and this just really brought me down. But a movie like The Help, it felt like it was the 1960s. The aura of the movie, the feel of the movie felt like the 1960s. This film, Conan, felt like I was watching a bunch of guys in a bunch of Halloween costumes going from one set on Universal Studios soundstage to another. I don't know where it was filmed, and I don't really care, but it just looked so ridiculous and fake. I don't know, I just thought it was terrible.
Like you said, the plot for this movie is so weak, and it's so generic. I mean, there's nothing new offered in this movie. There's nothing. It's just senseless violence,
right?
With a little bit of sex thrown in, to try and keep people interested.
Which didn't work for me.
Yeah, it didn't work at all.
The battle scenes they are well done, but that's it. I took a lot of flack on my review for Final Destination 5. And let me just say, if this is the kind of movie that you're looking for, then you're probably gonna like it. But it's just, I think, a bunch of nonsense. That's just my opinion out there, and I can try and give you a decent, intelligent review and say that there's really just nothing to the story at all.
No, there isn't, and that's why you can't really give an intelligent review, because
Right.
there's nothing new. Hollywood's not offering anything new with this movie.
And I'll tell you, in the weekend, this opened along with the remake of Fright Night, and as I said, I think I gave Fright Night 3.5 stars, and I would definitely say, please go pick that one and not this one. Well, Greg, how many stars are you going to give this?
I'm going to give this movie 1.5 stars. There's really nothing redeemable about this movie, except, like you said, for the performance of Rose McGowan.
Yeah, and I think because of the performance of Rose McGowan, that's the one thing I liked about this movie, so I'm going to give it 1 star out of 4. I'm going to say pretty much avoid at all costs, unless you're really into something that's gratuitous and over-the-top,
If you like the remakes
violence.
of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th, then by all means, come and see this.
And I actually didn't know that it was directed by Marcus Nispel, and when he said that, I all kind of rang true as to where all the buckets of blood came from and stuff. But, Greg, I would say thank you so much for being here. I wish it was under better circumstances to review a better movie. And I'll say, if you're out there looking for a movie about an uprising and somebody coming up from the ashes, go see Caesar in the Rise of the Planet of the Apes, because that's actually a good movie. And stay away from Conan as much as possible. And
except if it's Conan O'Brien. That is a Conan that you can trust.
Because that would be a funny, something funny that's supposed to be funny, and not something that's dramatic that's coming out to be funny when it's really not supposed to be. So. But remember, people, we're not always right, but only when it comes to the movies.
And thank you for your attention.